Okay, so we have, in fact, finished everything here. Tier 8 is complete. Okay, boys and girls, let's launch the satellite and finally have this part of the game done. Okay, I'm sealing it.
Nice.
Animation for that.
Yeah.
Kijk, sien jou. Ik zal door. Nee, daar is ze.
Okay, she is sealed. And I'm going to send it into space.
Phase 5 completed.
Daar gaat hij.
And that is it.
Nice.
We are
Ek weet nie of
surprised.
hierdie ding, het hierdie ding elektrisiteit in. Want dan kan jy opgaan met die afloopbek.
I hit.
I'm really surprised they didn't actually have an announcement that you finished tier 5.
It was a bit like anticlimactic, for the love of Pete. It did take us like half our lives to build this thing and to get to this point. But okay.
Ek weet nie hoeveel ure het dit gevat.
I think was so
105.
Yeah.
But you can say 130, about 135.
Around 150. We're over 150 already.
Oh goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
Precies, soveel beacons hier so.
It's one of our productions. And yeah, there you go. Space station is done. And
Nice.
and that's it. We have all our tiers done and we officially have the game done for now, for this current version.
Yep.
Very cool. Perfect, guys, and that's it. Okay, this is where it all began. Where we set up our original base station. We have in fact already broken that down and took it back to the new base we built in the desert for more space for our final factory. But everything started, yeah, from very simplistic circuitry to run our biofuel generators, which as you can see they ran out now, but those are the pellets for that. We built quite an advanced storage system. Turns out that did not have to be that advanced, but let's quickly show you guys the way we built it. Let me just quickly attach this one. Is we kind of use smart sorters to sort out the respective items into their own crates, and any overflow we'll send through to the backbone, and then up there we have the actual grinder that grinds it up for points. That was not needed because it turns out we wanted single items on single belts, which just made more sense. So if a belt falls out, the storage falls out, the entire factory behind that belt turns off. And this is our storage system and our original base. We have quite a few things here. One of the most advanced things we wrapped up by this base before we moved was, as you can see here, heavy frames, and then lastly computers. And one of the biggest reasons why we moved, I will show you when I get to the steel factories, because we kind of ran out of space, ran out of real estate to actually produce these. Some containers here that automatically feeds into the train, I'll show that a bit later. And then obviously storage system. And this is officially our first backbone into the storage system that's essentially coming from, primarily coming from our steel factory, which I'll take you through shortly. Before I go to steel factory, I just want to show you where we actually started off. One of the first things when we started producing, one of the simpler items was, our satellite used to be here. Late game, we moved it to our latest base then in the desert, because the most advanced items took forever to build. We sure as hell weren't going to come back on train to fill it up. And that's the launch you saw at the beginning of this video. Some basic things here we started building. I think that's advanced plates, rotors, an extremely amount of screws. However, this is still the old recipe though. We did a lot of hard drive hunting, got alternatives. We can make screws from the steel recipe. That's insane. This is very inefficient, very outdated. I want to quickly show you. We have very small storage there. It's not even worth showing. It's the beginning items in the game. I'm not even going to go there. Let's head over to steel. One of the most advanced, expanding warehouse that we set up all the way that side. Like I said, this backbone comes from there. Every single conveyor belt has its own item. As you can see, it's backed up already, and it should turn off the circuitry and that's all, which is pretty cool. This is a much better way of doing it. We just kind of did it too late, but we did it. We did some POCing with using tractors to do back and forth traveling way in the beginning. Completely useless traveling. Run out of fuel. Fuel you have to fill in kind of manually from some of the other productions, but anyway, let's head over to steel. Again, this is essentially our steel factory. Started off quite simple. Have to make the steel ingots, both sides here. Steel beams coming out here. This side we have pipes, more beams. Beams get split into certain directions where we need them. Like here we disconnected this, building the frameworks. New base has entire circuitry for that. This was only to finish the one stage of the satellite. Right underneath there's actually some more stuff. We do some automatic wiring there. Just quickly down the hill here. All the way. There's a bit of a backbone here as well. We're getting a bunch of, as you can see. I just lost power with my, there you go. A lot of coal I'm bringing back. We need additional coal, but minus the actual coal we had here to do even more steel production. Some cabling down here, some copper there. And the side, obviously, once you blow up the one resource that you need here, you can also start with a quick wiring, and then also bring in plastic to start with the actual circuit boards. So put them on the backbone, ship them back to the main base. Pretty straightforward. And then this side is where we went bonkers. Any and everything you can think about steel, we did this side. From modular frames, you see down there, everything to get into a modular frame is underneath the platform here. I'll show you a bunch of circuitry there. We also have a bit of input from a different base than the other one I said it's not worth showing. This brings back reinforced plates to make sure we fill up that belt to make sure this guy runs 100%. In fact, it's already empty actually. So that tractor turned off. And then I mentioned we ran out of real estate, some more production there. Using the inefficient recipe, we have unlocked a much better one lately. But where I said we ran out of real estate is because of these two guys here. So this guy here, what do you make? You are making the heavy frames. It's extremely inefficient. Well, not inefficient, I'm pretty sure it's the right recipe. But just so much space, so much resources to just generate those. And then here is obviously the computers. That's why we moved, because we kind of ran out of space here, you know. I guess we could have built out there, but it's becoming ugly, very spaghetti-ish. Not really good standards we were followed in the beginning of the game. And that's our first main base. Now I'm going to quickly take you guys through some other achievements that some other places we've built as well. And things we achieved. Okay, so let's quickly head over to the way we actually did this. This is one of the last power plants we built, so I'll show you that afterwards. So let's quickly head over to one of the first power plants we did. Actually, there's actually a nice one there as well. I'm gonna head over to the first one. So this is our second coal power plant we have up here. quite decent amount of power that was generated there early game for us. Some batteries here as well. In fact, I'm not even going to go there. That's a proper coal power plant, which is pretty sweet. And our first POC power plant was up here. With a small amount of resources. And as you can see, there's a belt above me that actually ships back. Actually, below me. Ships back to that one we just went past. So that's a little POC. And then this way, oops, back out there. And this is where we actually did our first field generation power plant. So that's the first version of power that you need. Automated power. And this is the second tier of power all the way this way. Okay, as you can see, where I just came from, we are shipping some things back. Plastic, rubber, and coal. The coke itself, we're sending that back as well. Bit of coke production down here, bit of plastic access, and then the most predominantly focus on what we actually focus on this side was the fuel. This was our first fuel generation, so it's actually upstairs. So there's some water. Filling up water and bringing that back and forth upwards. Well, let me show you what's happening upstairs. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's 2 layers upstairs. Yes. So the output of all of this that we're trying to achieve is filling up this reservoir here 100% and running 10 fuel generators. And that produces quite a decent amount early game for us. In fact, we extended this. I think we started with like 3. We extended to even more, which is pretty decent power. And then upstairs, I think this is whatever the circuitry needs. Let's have a look. Because we only used to run 1 or 2. But yeah. The circuitry up here helps us to run the other like 8 production plastic, water pumps, eventually creating the heavy residue, absorbing the residue, package fuel, shipped it downstairs, unpacking it and burning it for power. Pretty straightforward, really cool recipe. Okay, that was our first power plant, official fuel power plant. We have another one that was set up by Uberwaffe. In fact, he actually started this one. I did the top part, expanding. He started the second one as well, cleared over there. But it's quite a distance away. Actually, while I'm here, I'll just quickly run across here. So that was our first official plant, coal power plant. This is that one we went past previously, which I'm not going to show. Let me just quickly show it while I'm here. Uberwaffe also built this one for us. Coal, then obviously we transgressed and evolved into fuel generation, some power, some battery power. In fact, we have a bunch of batteries. In fact, in total we have this doesn't show us. Let me just look on a poll quickly. In total we have, oh, you click there, we have 2,700 megawatts of stored ones, which helps a lot for all the every time our circuitry goes over, at least we have this battery, so that helps us not to trip the power. At least we only tripped the power once, which was quite a hectic one. One thing to note here is both the rubber and plastic, we're actually shipping it off to the newer space in the desert. As you can see here, a bit of storage, anything that's access here, we actually feed into the grinder for points. But you can see rubber and plastic we're actually shipping off, goes underneath the platform there, and actually it's filled into our into our train, into the first and second container. The train is standing still right now because I just stopped it because I still want to take it back to the other base so it doesn't leave me here. But normally it's on a normal schedule. And let me quickly head over to the final fuel generation. No, this is not even the final one. I think this is the second fuel generation plant we did. Here's a ridiculous amount of coal plants. This is crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of power. Also, nice little management section was built here. Where's the entrance at? I think the entrance is actually on the other side. Oh yeah. There's everything you need. Some bit of extra storage to get the space up and running for all the extra resources brought with. Let's head upstairs. Oh yeah, and upstairs we just started with encased industrial beams. That's what the biggest thing we needed to expand our original base, and as you can see it's shipped off. We actually filled this up. It's standing still, like just not using it anymore. This side of the map kinda just turned off. That's where we've been here, and then our new base is shipped all the way back into the desert up here. So I'm gonna head back home. That's basically it on this side of the map. Where I want to head back now, I want to head towards our main base, what we did in the final stage of the game. In fact, you can see it from there. We moved the space station there, space satellite. She's that side, so I'm going to hop into the train. As I mentioned, 2 resources we shipping from this side will automatically get filled, and head up that way, where we just needed more space, just to finish the game, to get the last final products, which I'll quickly run you guys through as well. This level, we built our train entrances to bring back resources. We also have our storage at this level, and then all production 1 level higher. One of the first things we realized when we got here was we needed more power for all the production, so we went to do another fuel generation plant, which I'm going to head over to. missed this train now. So this train here from our final fuel generation plant, it brings back plastic and rubber as well, the same as the other plant. This time we didn't do belts, we just did the train. So it's quite straightforward. Also only used the train to take over power. Then we didn't do any power poles that way. Okay, so yeah, like I said, this is for the fuel plant. We have a very small circuitry here just to do the POC once again, get everything up and running. So we have standalone power here. We backed up a bunch of batteries to start it up in case it does trip, and you can see we turned it off with a switch, so we can use these batteries to start it up once we need to. If it ever tripped, at least it never tripped. One of the last things we invested in was nuclear power, which is the final power tier, and I'll do that. I'll show that for the final stages of this video. Heading up to showing you where we have the fuel plant. Very similar to the other plant. Basically, the end result of this entire plant is to run 10 fuel generators, and there they are. Fill up a reservoir, run them at 100% capacity, and all the circuitry here achieves that for us, which is quite a decent amount of power. Behind me here, this side, we needed a crap ton of plastic and rubber for our main base, and that's what I said also what the train takes back for us for some of the final projects, products such as computers and so forth. And one of the alternative recipes for concrete, we need to ship that back. So all the circuitry here, this is a mirror image. This half here does plastic, this half here does rubber, and any access, because they also feed into one another because they're dependent on one another with a small margin. And then the rest with smart splitters, the offset, we ship back to the base, and that's basically this plant here. You can see it comes down here to the belts. Especially the plastic, it's really important to grind the plastic. If the plastic falls up and goes back into our fuel generators, it will stop the plant and we lose all that power. Then we can have a massive trip, and it takes hours to restart everything. That's why you have to burn it. As you can see here, we have a bunch of access. So we'll head back to the base, the train will fill up with those resources, and then I'll give you a tour of the final base we had, which is in the desert, the one I just left. This is essentially the final base. I'll quickly give you a tour. So, as I mentioned before, we have the hydro gas coming in from that direction, some products here we're building, final project, the fuse modular frames, and also, that one's overclocked, and also cooling systems on all the circuitries. Yeah, also we have the batteries we also built. This plant here, gunpowder, and also the item needed to for the final rifle in the game. Very important one here is for the sheets itself to build the final belt, and then yeah, also the same item that gets shipped off in order to build the casings we also need. Some of the final products that this base allowed us to have is, if you have a look here, is this one here. Final product. Magnetic field generator, that box there. This box here, I'm just disconnected because I did want them to turn off, is also the assembly director system. As you saw in the beginning of the video when we launched the satellite, those were two of the requirements it needed. And the hardest one by far, the final one, these are just to feed into those circuitries there, was, the final one was over the side here. First, the second final one is this guy here quickly. Was it this one or that one? Let's see. No, not the turbo motor, this guy here. Yeah, the thermal rocket, we needed that guy. And then the final one was this guy here in the I think it's a nuclear pasta. The nuclear pasta for the final item, which took forever to make. I was overclocking them, but they take a ridiculous amount of power. In fact, I had to run my nuclear plant, which I'll quickly show you, the final thing to show you in this video, to run these two, which we had to go invest in nuclear power to run those. Up until that point, we never needed nuclear. A bunch of circuitry. This is the main base. This is where we spend most of our time in game. Like I said, we brought the satellite here to this base to just carry the final items into it. It was just too far to travel all the way back. All the circuitry was to achieve those final objectives. There's quite a lot happening. We run out of real estate at the bottom, we simply just go one level up, as you can see. A lot of circuitry. One of the things we've learned, like I mentioned before, is putting one item on a belt. It just makes life so much easier. Here's two backbones. The one here on the left going back towards storage, one on the right going this direction into circuitry, where we're using those items respectively. We need everything that we needed here. We had to mass produce. On this side, to build health, healing items. Final product is the inhaler itself, and a little bit of circuitry here, just for some of the silly, quite easy to make items we needed for our storage. I haven't showed you storage. Do that. Sorry, also the train stations, there's two stations. As they come into the base, we fill up containers. But with the first two, remember, rubber and plastic coming from the original base, we feed that directly onto the backbone and ship that off across the factory to all the devices that need them, all the factories that need them. We just fork off of the, as you can see here, example of a fork. We fork off whenever we want one of those items. Cool, let's head down to storage. Let me show you our final storage factory. We just built this tunnel here just to get in and out quite fast. Final storage is this side here, obviously some of the main buildings. We have a grinder here. Any access we throw in here that we want to get deleted. We have aisle 1, aisle 2. Aisle 1 primarily is for building materials. As you can see, just look at the actual icons. Anything we use for building materials, one of the most used ones was this guy here, late game for level 5 conveyor belts. And then heading over to aisle 2, I won't take the alley there, I'll just quickly go over this side. But more expensive items. As you can see, we went crazy with actual computers. This should be filled up. Not filled up yet. Oh, it's not even hooked up. We actually didn't even bring them back. We used that for circuitry. This actually came from the old base. We shipped that in the actual trainer, the actual train. Ones that are hooked up is the ones with the conveyor belts behind them feeding into them. But these are a bit more expensive, with the exception of those two there. A bit more expensive items aisle, where we fill all that up. Anything that you need. I think the most expensive one here is this guy here, the turbo motor. Yeah. Oh yeah, and my little management office that I didn't show. Management only. My two little vehicles I need to get around. primarily, it's just for me to walk around and make sure that my peasant workers, they get the job done and they're not screwing around while I'm sipping my cup of coffee. A bit of storage in here if I do die. I just quickly reset, grab what I need, heal up because you only spawn back with 3 health, and head off to wherever I died to try and retrieve my crate. And that is our storage. And then finally, like I mentioned, this side here heading over to our nuclear plant, the final one we needed to be able to run those machines to generate to be able to create the nuclear pasta for us. This is where we did nuclear power. I'll show you the right hand side first because that is safe, where I can fly without dying because of radiation poisoning. It's very simple circuitry to get the items we need for the other side, which is the radioactive side. But before I can head over there, I just have to put on my suit and I won't be able to fly around anymore. Let's head over there. As you can see, radioactive signs. Well, I'm not going to put on my suit in order to see how will in fact take damage. Another backbone back and forth for the side of the base to get what it needs. Primarily the goal of this one here is, I should start taking damage after the radioactive level is increasing. Just put on my suit, I won't be able to fly. But primarily the point of all the circuitry here is just to give us the final product, which is the rods. The rods to the nuclear plant. The recipe is pretty straightforward. I don't have to run through that. Let's head over to the nuclear power plants. Oh yeah, let me just put my light on. This is a dangerous area. And these are the nuclear plants. We're only running 2 right now. All that circuitry is only to run 2 at 100%. In fact, I clocked them down. I only need them to run at 20% each because I don't need that much power yet. When new patches of this game comes out, we can expand all that circuitry. We can get way more of these. But one of the most important things is right now we are not getting rid of our waste. We are generating waste, which is this funnel containers here. Our radiation level is not happy. We have water coming from down there. We build in the sky, it's much easier. But our waste ends up in here. We don't have a recipe, or we don't have circuitry yet to take care of this waste, but we have a plan. There is a massive system we can build to take care of that. But we'll do that once we have more content, when we actually need to. We still have 2 containers here, not even filled up yet. So not a problem. That's a problem for another day. And that is basically it. That is what we achieved. This is our final power production. And that's what we did to have the game done up until this point. At the time of recording, we officially finished the game. Cool.